Jaylen Brown reveals the one thing that's kind of been holding the Celtics back so far. He's actually revealing a lot on Twitch lately, and we need to change the narrative about Mazzulla Ball right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis. Recap the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising business, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them every Monday through Friday. Bonus podcasts when they play on weekends, Friday nights, Saturday nights. I'll give you a little something to listen to after those games, so make sure you're subscribed. The show is always free. It's available everywhere. It's on YouTube. Get into the comment section. Become an everydayer. Join me every day of the week. Like I said, it's free, 30 minutes or so. So perfect for your ride to work, your morning jog, your morning dog walk, the shower, and getting ready for work. It's all right there. I'm John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a couple books about the team. I've been doing a version of this job for about 20 years. So hopefully I'm here to entertain and inform you. And today I'll be doing it with the following three topics. Later on, we'll get into Mazzulla Ball, the third segment. I've talked about this, but it keeps coming up. So I'm just going to keep railing on what Mazzulla Ball, quote unquote, actually is. We'll get into Jaylen Brown. His revelations on Twitch have become, I guess, a must-watch. If you're into watching a guy talk for 4 hours on Twitch, he's saying some stuff. Luckily, I'll just say this. There are people to kind of distill it down to the important parts. I'm going to do the thing I liked to do in college. Someone else do all the listening and break it down for me. And then I'll take the important parts and I'll pay attention to that. So, but let's start with the one thing that's been holding the Celtics back in this first couple of weeks of training camp, or weekend, whatever it is. So the Celtics have stated they want to play fast. They want to play physical. It is a different style. They're going to play so much more up tempo. Everybody comes out and talks to us at the Arbac Center, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Oh my God, we've been going for so long, and everybody's just gassed. And we've been going. They don't call any fouls. They didn't do anything. And I'm like, that's great. So Jaylen spoke at practice on Monday, and I asked him, and I normally would play the question. You're going to hear Jaylen talk, but couldn't get through the background noise on that. I asked him, I said, look, you're playing faster. You're playing faster than the Celtics have played probably since, the Tommy Heinsohn as coach days in the 70s. Like, they want to play super fast up tempo. It's a new thing. And you got new players. The timing has to be off. And that's not easy to get. And he agreed. Here's what he had to say.
I think that's the biggest, I wouldn't say gap, but that's the biggest thing, that the timing of everything, kind of like what we've seen before, the timing is almost seamless. Like, guys know where to be, guys know when to set a screen, guys know when to get out. It's we're working through some of those kinks in our timing, and I think that's the biggest difference of like how you can determine chemistry. When you see a team has a great chemistry, they have great timing. It's a big part of it. So we really got to get that down, and we really been working on it. But some of that, more experienced players, they have that because they know they played in the league for a long time. So establishing that timing is something that we're really trying to speed up the learning curve and develop. But we've been putting in our work, but we got some more work to do for sure.
Is that film? Is that reps? Is that getting against the live defense? That
It's everything. It's film. It's for sure. I want us to be the smartest team out there, the more studious team out there. Like, we watching film, like, we got to make sure the comprehension level is there. We got to make sure everybody knows what coverages, what reads that we need to be in actively every day. We're emphasizing that because we got to be a smart team because we don't have a choice. And on top of that, it's the reps. So being able to go hard, make it game-like, and being able to see and determine what's the right thing to do right here and next. So it's a little bit of everything. And we've been trying to expedite that learning process, but it's going to take some time.
This is the hardest part here, and why I think even though I talked recently about the Celtics having, the potential to overachieve this season, I think what might end up happening, considering this part of it, is we might see the Celtics start slow and finish stronger, because this timing thing is really important. And it's a very difficult thing to accomplish in a short amount of time, because think of it as, forget basketball for a second. Just think of it as choreography. If you like, Dancing with the Stars is on. Well, okay. So I only know that because my wife watches it. That's all I'll admit to. But okay, two people can learn a slow dance, and you learn the steps. It's a few steps. You repeat them, you perfect it, and you can figure it out. Now you go to America's Got Talent, and you've got those big groups with 30 people dancing and flipping and doing all that. So that's hard to do. That takes a lot longer to learn where you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to angle yourself, where you're supposed to be and when, and where you're supposed to look in the position. Oh, it's so difficult. And you can't just take a big troop like that and say, okay, here's, in terms of, basketball, there's 6 new players. When you factor in the two-way guys, it's like a third of the team, a little bit more than that. You can't take 10, 11, of those dancers and say, okay, here's a new 10 people, figure this out in 3 weeks. It's hard to do. It's just, you're not going to be in the right spot. People are going to be out of position. It's not going to look good. So that first part of the Celtics schedule, where I've been like kind of going back and forth, is it going to be a big losing streak to start? Is it going to be a thing where, maybe you win a couple of games? I still think it might be a tough start to the season, even though, the Philly game, it looks like Joel Embiid. I don't know if Joel Embiid's going to play. I don't know what they're going to do in Philly. I have no clue. But okay, maybe you win a couple of these games. But I think even if you're optimistic, even if you're one of the people that's been getting on me in the comments and saying, where's your faith? Where's your optimism? I think there's optimism there that the Celtics will ultimately end up being a decent team. But I got to caution everybody it's not going to look great in the beginning. And I don't know what that's going to end up looking like. Maybe they come together faster, but listen to the words that Jaylen just said. Go back and replay it. He is admitting this has been the tough part, because everybody on the team is getting used to playing a different style. And I'm going to get this in, the Mazzulla Ball stuff in the third segment. This is all part of it. Everybody on the team is getting used to playing differently. Everybody on the team is figuring out something new. So even the guys like Jaylen and Derek and Peyton and Sam, guys who have been here before, Chris Boucher, who's been around the league before, these guys are still now learning. They're being inundated with a new kind of philosophy. Then you throw in 6 new players. They're being inundated with new attitudes, new motivations, new nuance, new little things about, look, Luka Garza is not Al Horford. He's not Kristaps Porzingis. He's not Luke Cornett. And in some ways he might be better than, one aspect of something. It might be worse. You don't know what that is ultimately, but it's different. He moves differently. How he sets his picks are different. And look, the Celtics bigs are going to be setting a ton of picks. This is, I'm trying to explain this to you in a way that maybe, I know it's difficult to understand sometimes, that, it's not just bad. It's the faster you play, the more decisions you have to make. And it's not just going to be coming down and be like, hey, they got Jaylen. Oh, they got Derek. They got Anthony Simons. So they've got some guys here that but it's more than that. It's how do you create those advantages? The 2-on-1s that Joe Mazzulla keeps talking about. You still have to create advantages, because NBA defenses are the most advanced NBA defenses that we've ever seen. They're switching a ton. There's switching 1 through 3, 1 through 4, 1 through 5. You throw in some zone. You take advantages of some rules. You can get a little bit more handsy now. There's all these different things, the nuance of all the NBA defense. And you say, okay, now we're doing this with a whole lot more Nemish Queta, and he's going to have to sit some time. Chris Boucher, how do you set your picks? How do you get used to these guys? How do you move? What's your gait? What's your timing? How different guys just move. They have a little hop to his step. Xavier Tillman, Luka Garza, just different things. And guys have to process things faster. Those bigs are going to be super, super important. The timing is going to be critical. I'm going to continue this with the bigs, a focus on the bigs. Then we'll get to Jaylen Brown on Twitch and what he's been saying about this team, unfiltered through the internet. It's all coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. If you're new to FanDuel, all you got to do is place a $5 bet, and if you win, you get $300 in bonus bets. So go ahead, pick a bet. I hope you picked the Patriots against the Bills last night, because wow, what a game, what an upset for a Patriots fan. Hello, that was a lot of fun, and if you'd thrown $5 on there, you would have had more fun, because not only would you have won and got a little bit of a payout because it was an upset, you would have gotten $300 in bonus bets that you can now turn around and build a parlay in the next game. Maybe you want to bet on one of the baseball playoff games. You want to try some player props. You can do live lines during games. You say, hey, the Celtics are down 15 at the first quarter. Let's bet that line because I think they're going to come back. That kind of stuff. It's all there. So whether you're a casual fan who loves diving into stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. When you sign up, they're going to give you the little alert. Sign up for the budgeting tools. Do that. Make sure you set your budget, set your limit. Only bet what you can afford to lose. Set that limit, and then you can go ahead and gamble responsibly. If you hit that limit, you make a couple of bad calls. That happens sometimes. That's all right. It shuts it down. You come back when you get paid again. You get a little extra money to spend. You try it again. So go ahead. Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make sure you're checking out Locked On Fantasy Basketball with Josh Lloyd. He is the absolute GOAT when it comes to fantasy basketball. So check him out. He's going to give you daily tips. He's going to help you win your league, all while making you a smarter NBA fan. Check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball. It's on YouTube. It's wherever you found this podcast. So check it out there. So as I was saying before the break, the speed at which the Celtics play, it's really going to challenge the bigs. They're going to have to get up and down the floor. Think about a big. You got to protect the rim. You got to, a lot of these guys are going to end up switching a bunch. So think about like a Chris Boucher who is coming in, going out to the perimeter, coming back to the paint, sliding back and forth up to play the pick and roll, playing in that drop, turning around, box out, get the rebound, outlet it, then come down the floor, and it's like, set a screen, turn around, set another screen. Oh, that action isn't going. I got to set this other screen. You have to be on the same page. This is why Jaylen's talking about these guys being the smartest team in the league. You have to see the same thing at the same time and make the same decision, and everybody has to do that every play down the floor. Right? That's the hard part. And they drill it over and over again. When you see this is what you do. So this is why when I ask them that follow-up question, is it film? Is it reps? Is it live play against the defense you haven't seen before? I know the answer is all three, because you have to be in film. You have to show your bigs. I need you in this spot. I made this pass. I'm looking for you to be here to set a flare screen for me so I can go this way. So, stuff like that. So you look at it in film, and the guys see it, they process it. Then you go out and you drill, you rep, you put that muscle memory in, and you just do it over and over and over again. Oh, the ball went here. We don't see this thing developing. Now this is what we do. Boom, boom, boom. It's impossible. It's impossible. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Impossible to get it right away. It's going to be a very difficult thing for the Celtics to get. It's not to say that they can't get it. They will, because they seem to be working very hard towards it. But if you're expecting seamless chemistry on day one and the Celtics to start the season on a 5-game winning streak, I mean, who knows? Maybe they will, but I doubt it, because the way they want to play, some of those things, especially when you need the execution, fourth quarter, it's just going to be a little tough. Guys aren't going to be there. The ball's going to get thrown away. There's going to be some key turnovers that may not be there in December, January, or February, but they'll be there in October, November, and slowly things will go away. That's going to be the trajectory for this team, that they will figure this stuff out. Joe will figure out lineups. Part of it also is, like, we've seen the film. We've drilled it. Looks good in drills. Now here come the Memphis Grizzlies. And they're going to be like, oh, wait a second. That's not the defense that we saw. We've been seeing the defense we've been drilling against. And so you see a wrinkle and it throws you off, because you're like, you can get very mechanical. Oh, I go here, I go here, I go here. And then the Grizzlies come along, or the Raptors come along, and you're like, whoa, hey, look, defense, you're supposed to be playing along with us, man. You got to let me get to my spots here. So that's where the reading comes in, that practical application, just like a boxer. You can run and hit the bags and go through a sparring and stop the sessions and explain. Then you get into an actual fight and somebody punches you in the mouth. It's the Mike Tyson line. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. So how fast the Celtics figure all of that out will explain, or will show us how quickly the Celtics can get to any level of overachieving. And that's the number one thing. If the Celtics are going to overachieve, it's going to look like, oh my God, these guys are all playing on a string. They're all on the same page. Now, you could have all the faith in the world that they're going to get there, but just don't expect it on day one. They could finish, they might be like the most efficient team in the league in March and April. Like that could be, I'm not predicting that, but you can see, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw like November Celtics efficiency stats, and you look at the stats, you're like, ooh, these are gross. And then in February, March, April, you go, oh, okay, these numbers really turned around. You do a side by side, you're like, oh, the progression has come along. So that's going to be, I think, what we see. And you listen to Jaylen on Twitch, and he's talking about a lot of these things. My favorite line is, I don't play for a basketball team, I play for a track team. And that's what he wanted, right? He says, that's what I wanted. He talks about the practices being rough and going through no fouls and all of that stuff. And that's going to help them play through some of the stuff that they're going to experience. And that'll be great. But the track team stuff, that's all new. And so Jaylen talks about, this is the hardest camp I've been through. Sam Cassell talks about, this is the hardest camp I've seen in 34 years or however long he's been in the league. Joe Mazzulla likes to throw some cold water on that and just say, like, look, it's recency bias and everybody's going to say that, but that's not necessarily the case. But even so, these guys are going through, like, no one is denying that these guys are playing super fast. Josh Minot has said multiple times, I think we're going to be the fastest team in the league. We'll see about that, but that's the goal. That's where they're going with it. They're going to have to figure some stuff out in that regard. These guys are getting tired. You can't play 82 games and have, like, Jaylen. Historically, he's gonna miss some time. He generally misses some time. So where's the depth going to be? And hopefully he doesn't, but he generally misses some time. And that's been how it's gone over his career. And it might just be like 10, 12 games, but if that happens early, then things are going to get really ugly fast. If he tweaks a hammy or sprains an ankle or a thumb or whatever, that's going to be a more of a problem, because I think early they're going to need to rely on Jaylen and his explosiveness to kind of carry. I think the November, December, early December, basketball for the Celtics is going to look like a lot breakdowns that Jaylen's going to have to bail him out of, breakdowns that Derek's going to have to bail him out of, breakdowns that, Pritchard's going to have to bail him out of. Those types of things are going to show up from time to time. And it may not be how the Celtics ultimately want to play, but early on, they're going to need these guys. And if any of those guys, not just Jaylen, but Jaylen's the most important guy early on, especially if he goes down because of, the workload or, look, early back-to-backs might be tough. Jaylen's talking about all of this, the speed and everybody's so tired, and like the early back-to-backs, it's just going to be a lot to ask these guys. I think the medical staff, the training staff is going to be like, look, these guys are tired. You're going to need to dip into some of this depth, which is going to mean more minutes for Garza and Minot and Shireman and guys who are unproven or learning. That's all difficult. So when you watch Jaylen on Twitch and he's talking about all this stuff, I think we're just kind of being, it's informative. It's letting us know that they're, first of all, working really hard. Second of all, really tired. And they're going to, their body's going to have to catch up to the workload, which they might do early in the, they're going to catch up to that. But like the early part of the season, you have to rely on that depth. That's just a fact. You're just gonna have to rely on that depth. And there's a lot of new players, and that might make the early part of the season a little bit of a struggle. And moving forward, it's just they'll get there. They'll get there. The Mazzulla Ball, this is something I just keep hearing it on podcasts, and people keep talking about it. The Mazzulla Ball thing, I think we're actually going to start seeing this year what Mazzulla Ball really, truly, actually, honestly is. I'll talk about that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Get control of your finances, because a lot of us, you just kind of put it aside. You say, okay, I know I've got automatically money's going into my 401k. I got this, whatever, and I don't even really pay attention to it. It's just I'll deal with it when I deal with it. Don't do that. You want to have a control of your money. Monarch Money is an all-in-one personal finance tool. Brings your entire financial life together. One clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop, on your phone. We're grown-ups now. We need to know what we have. We need to know where we are in life. And if you don't, then Monarch Money is going to help you. You're busy. You've been putting it off. Monarch is going to help you. It does the heavy lifting. Only need to take a little bit of time, link all your accounts, just a few minutes, and then Monarch gives you the data visuals, the smart categorization of your spending, gives you control, and you're not looking at some boring spreadsheet. So maximize your investments, increase your savings rate, clearly review your finances with your spouse, your partner. You can get a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com to get half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA Game Night is in the regular Locked On NBA podcast, both on the same feed, both free. Locked On Game Night is Locked On NBA Game Night is 7 days a week. It is once these games now are underway here, it's a full recap of all the games, getting you caught up on the entire NBA. So get that, and then the big stories, debate style, in the afternoons on Locked On NBA. So Mazzulla Ball, I think this people latch on, and I know why, because first impressions are what people think. No matter if you have a bad first impression, man, it's so hard to get over that. And that's why so many people put pressure on themselves to make that good first impression, because the first thing you hear is the first thing you believe, and the first thing you see is the first thing you believe. And so your first impression of a person, a player, a coach, that's going to be what you think. Now, Joe Mazzulla, oh, he loves the three-pointer. And he does love three-pointers, but he loves good shots. He loves efficient basketball. He loves the maximizing possessions. But the Celtics have had, as I've said, multiple good to great three-point shooters. They've had good to great three-point shooters on the floor almost at all times. Okay? So when you look at what this team has been, Jaylen, Jayson, Derek on the perimeter, the ability to kick it out to Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday on the perimeter, those guys collapsing defenses, kicking it out. Any one of those guys gets the touch in the middle of the paint. You kick it out to any one of those guys behind the three-point line with a good look. Any one of those guys can knock it down. Some with better regularity than others, but all of those guys, if you get an open, clean look, you can say, I expect that guy to knock down open, clean looks. And that's not what this team is going to be this year. And we know that the past 2 years, the Celtics kind of had embarrassment of riches. This season, we're going to start seeing, I think, what we can truly call something closer to quote-unquote Mazzulla Ball. And we call it Mazzulla Ball because, first of all, it's a fun thing to call it. But secondly, it's people like to just say that it's the three-point heavy offense. You hurl up 50-plus three-pointers. That's Joe Mazzulla. That's Mazzulla Ball. But it's just such a disingenuous. It just lacks so much context of why. I cannot believe that people are just not seeing why they shot so many three-pointers, because so many of those shots were open. They were good looks all season long. And they definitely took some bad ones for sure. And a couple of times they fell in love. In certain games, they fell in love with it. But mostly that they had the personnel, and this year they don't. This year they have to play differently. People are going to be surprised by what they see. I've been saying this here on this podcast for a while. I'm going to keep on saying it. The more I hear it, the more I'm going to say it. This is not going to be the Mazzulla, the quote-unquote Mazzulla Ball that you've seen over the past couple of seasons. This is going to be a faster style of play with a lot more cutting and passing and screening like crazy and creating as many different advantages as you can. And sometimes that's going to lead to mid-range jumper. Sometimes that's going to lead towards layups. And sure, they're going to shoot threes. They're going to shoot plenty of three-pointers. There's no doubt they're going to still shoot plenty of three-pointers, but they're going to end up shooting maybe 10, 12 fewer three-pointers per game just because they don't have the guys. Al Horford hoisted three-pointers, and they were mostly good looks. Porzingis hoisted three-pointers. They were mostly good looks. That's gone. Kata's not going to do that. Boucher will do some. But Garza will do some. Tillman, couple. Not at the same rate. Who's going to be shooting all of these? You're not going to get that same just come down and fire. It's going to be a little bit different. So I don't know. I just keep seeing it. I keep hearing it. And so I'm going to keep railing against it because it's not what the Celtics is going to be this year. Everything I've seen, everything I've heard, these guys are running like crazy. They're going to be so up-tempo. Their pace, I think, can be, 5, 6, 7 more shots per 48 minutes. They're going to be up, I think, in the top 10 in pace this year, maybe top 5 versus bottom like 29th last year. I'm telling you, if I'm sure I can't bet on this on FanDuel, but if I could put $5 on something, the Celtics being a top 5 pace team, I'd buy that. I think that's what the Celtics are trying to be. And that would be that alone. Forget the win total, forget the whatever, measure you have of a coach, if they finish this season top 5 in pace, that should be enough to get people to shut up about what Joe Mazzulla has been and to understand that he's been coaching them the way the team is constructed. And the way the team is constructed this year is going to be something different. So that's what we should expect. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll have Tom Westerholm on. We'll get a little look ahead to the first preseason game. Then Wednesday, preseason basketball. So I will do a post-game podcast, which will obviously be much later in the night, but I will be here for you every post-game. So make sure you're subscribed. The show is going to be available everywhere. It's free. It's available Monday through Friday. Again, bonus podcast on the weekend. It's on YouTube. Join me on the YouTube page and let me know what you're thinking there. Get into the comment section. Like I said, become an everydayer. Join me every Monday through Friday, and then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.